What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here, and it's time for a new Crash Team Rumble video. This time, it's my top 5 most wanted characters. Getting your most wanted characters in something like Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was always pretty cool, but at the end of the day, you were always just controlling the cart, not the actual character. Crash Team Rumble is different and special. Rumble has allowed us to play as these all-new characters in a platformer setting just like Crash himself. Embryo, Entropy, Ripperoo, and soon Engine. It makes these character additions a lot more exciting and groundbreaking in my opinion. Now for my list, I'm going to avoid characters we pretty much already know are coming. Spoiler warning, skip ahead a few seconds, but in the data mines, we already found characters like Spyro, Ripto, Elora, Papu Papu, and Male Entropy. I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones I personally know of, so if someone's on my list who is in the data mines, then whoops. But also, yay! Anyways, let's begin. Number 5. Tiny Tiger. Whenever I think of Crash Bandicoot bosses, Tiny Tiger is always the first one to come to mind. You know, I was born in '97, I literally had no conscious thoughts of my own when Crash 1 and 2 were coming out. So my first game of the original trilogy was Crash Bandicoot Warped, and the very first boss was Tiny Tiger. And man, did he leave an impression. I always thought he was so cool, and since he's the very first guy you meet, I always thought he was the biggest, baddest, and most iconic aside from Cortex. But when I look back on the franchise, I'm actually surprised at how underutilized he was. He was just a stage obstacle in Wrath of Cortex, he didn't do anything in Twinsanity, he had the smallest presence in Crash of the Titans, and he didn't even show up in Mind Over Mutant. Same with Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. I think it's about time for Tiny to make his big return. Stomping around, sending out lions, stabbing you with his trident. Just a fun, stompy, smashy brute. Number 4 is Tony Hawk. No, I am not joking. We got Crash, we got Spyro, let the other remaster boy come in. The original Tony Hawk Pro Skater games were just as iconic on the original PlayStation as the Naughty Dog and Insomniac trilogies of Crash and Spyro. And with all 3 of these PlayStation heroes being under the same roof, we should let them be under the same spotlight as well. Yeah, I'm a bit of a fanboy, but I do genuinely believe he could bring in a very fun gameplay style. I could see him being a very speedy and agile booster. He could wall jump by kicking off of them, his hitbox for being able to jump on people's heads could be a lot bigger thanks to his skateboard, and he could grind on edges of the map. Imagine Tony Hawk is taking control of a boost gem, and he's just grinding around in circles on a singular gem pad, preventing the opponent from ever capturing it. I just think he'd be a big hit, and lots of fun, especially if the Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake comes back to life. Number 3 is Crunch Bandicoot, another underutilized Crash character. I've always wanted to play as Crunch in a platforming setting. In my ideal Crash Bandicoot game, Crash, Coco, and Crunch were the playable characters. Crash would take care of the main platforming levels, Coco would take care of the vehicle levels, and Crunch would star in beat-em-up levels, similar to the gameplay of Crash of the Titans. Basically just trying to keep all the different fans happy. Plus, I think it would be really cool to have a completely hand-to-hand blocker. Just a pure brawler. I thought of maybe giving him the elementals, but they should probably just be left for relic stations like the other masks. In fact, just copy and paste Saxton Hale's moveset from Team Fortress 2 and give it to Crunch. It'd work just fine. Also, if you didn't notice, most of the characters in the game, plus a lot of the upcoming ones, are villains. Cortex, Embryo, Entropy, Ripperoo, Dingodile Kinda, Engine, Ripto, Papu Papu, Male Entropy. We need Crunch to bring up the hero count. Number 2 is Rasputin Aquato from Psychonauts. With Activision joining the Xbox family, I think it would be lots of fun to have a crossover to go with it. Most people point to Banjo whenever this topic comes up, but I don't know. I'd rather have an Xbox character that actually feels like an Xbox character. Banjo still feels pretty Nintendo. Plus, I think Raz would have a much more creative moveset. His Psychic Palms, Psyblasts, Pyrokinesis, Telekinesis, Mental Connection, Astral Projection, Clairvoyance, Confusion Grenades, Invisibility. Meanwhile, Banjo can roll and shoot eggs and fly a little bit. I don't know, I just think Raz would work a lot better. Plus, they already got Richard Horvitz on hand. More Zim noises, yay. Anyways, play Psychonauts if you haven't yet. Genuinely one of the best platforming franchises I've ever played. Absolutely deserved its Game of the Year nominations. And number 1 is Pinstripe. Tiny Tiger was the most underutilized villain. Crunch was the most underutilized hero. But Pinstripe is the most underutilized Crash Bandicoot character in general. Look, this guy has got so much potential. He's one of Cortex's smartest minions. He's got guns, he's got his own gang. Plus, he's got a pretty sweet Brooklyn accent. Once we get it through Toys for Bob's cranium that we want full voice acting and not these little puny grunts, he'd be the perfect character to add. Plus, I think he'd just have a really fun and creative long-range moveset. With his Tommy gun, he could switch out and use a sniper, he could use toxic barrels as barricades. Just imagine being on that very top area of Tiki Towers and sniping enemies off their bank from there. It'd be so much fun. I feel like a lot of people would end up maining him. It's not just Rumble though. Pinstripe needs more spotlight in the main series too. He's the only villain I can think of besides Entropy who could take the main villain role from Cortex. I just think he's super cool and I want to see more of Pinstripe in the entire series. But let me know what you guys think. Who are your top 5 most wanted characters? And what did you think of my picks? Let me know in the comments down below and I'll see you guys next time. Leopold the Brave, out.